Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent Training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat at any time, and I'll answer them for you live. And if you're watching later on, you can leave a question or comment, and I'll get back to you with resources and answers as well. In the beginning of class today, I want to talk about a few phrases, specifically way in, way out there, and way on my mind. And we'll talk about the pronunciation of these and also the meaning, how we use them. So when we weigh in on something, we give our opinion. I'm going to weigh in on that. And the pronunciation of this word weigh and this word weigh are the same. We have the w and the a diphthong. So you can think of them being equal. The way I weigh myself is to use a scale. That will help you remember. And as I was saying, when you weigh in on something, it means you're joining in the conversation, usually giving your opinion. So I'd like you to weigh in on this topic. Or it can also be sharing information. So I'm going to weigh in about that. That means I'm going to tell you more. When we talk about something being way out there, that means, so out there is meaning not normal, outside of what we would expect. His idea was way out there. And then in this case, way means very, let's see, what would be a good synonym for out there? Very unusual, very unexpected, far from the norm. So, for example, her behavior in the meeting was way out there. And then when something weighs on us or weighs on our mind, that means we tend to use that for something is weighing heavy on my mind or weighing heavily on me, meaning figuratively it feels like a weight. So it's usually a worry or a concern. I'm really concerned about her. That's really been weighing on my mind lately, etc. Again, same pronunciation of weigh. So we have the literal meaning of weigh, to weigh something to determine its weight or its mass. We have this weigh, which we use to indicate the direction or the way we do something, the manner. Or in this case, it can mean very, very far out there. So we have more phrases and idioms. I cover those in my idioms and phrases playlist. You can check that out. You can ask questions and ask about phrases that you commonly hear or use if you'd like to know more about them. And of course, usually in class on Saturdays, we spend a lot of time talking about word pronunciation, sounds, accent patterns. So feel free to ask whatever you would like, whatever would be helpful for you, and we'll turn to your questions now. So we have a question about the word credentials. Credentials. Excuse me. So when we're looking at credentials, we have second syllable stress. That means the cr syllable is going to be short. In the dictionary, you'll probably see it with an I vowel, like credentials. You probably heard me just now saying more of a schwa vowel, like credentials. It's just important that that first syllable is reduced and short, and then my length and stress falls on the den syllable. Letter E says eh, like red or like dentist. Credentials. Here, the letters TI don't say a T and an I sound, but rather an SH sound. And then my AL is going to be a schwa and an L. And finally, the S in credentials is a Z sound. Credentials are. I'll hear that especially when I'm linking. If I'm just saying credentials by itself, I'm just going to have a really reduced short little for the Z sound in that word, credentials. So rewriting it, respelling it, credentials. And thinking about this as being almost like I'm going right from the SH to the L, shoals, not a lot of stress or time on that schwa there, credentials. Let me see your credentials, please. My credentials are that I have a master's degree in speech and hearing science and over 25 years of clinical practice in speech-language pathology. Yeah, okay. Thank you. That's a good word. Good question. Okay, I'd like to mention, as many of you know, we do have this live class each Saturday. And I also have a word of the day series. So every day I'm covering a new word. These are all requests from you, the viewers, and I break down the words for you, talk about the sounds and patterns. Oftentimes I'll give you a respelling and I use the IPA so that you understand the sounds, so you can really read and understand the words. We have a lot of other playlists on the channel as well. So we cover names, we cover food names, brand names, lots of different playlists. We talk about, I also have intonation playlists and playlists that are focused more on American accent, as well as my online courses on speech modification cover a variety of those topics as well. Great. So we have a question about the words, the word missile. Is it pronounced the same as mistletoe? So I do have a video for the word missile. So for mistletoe, that's a good seasonal word to practice. Missile has two correct pronunciations. So you can either say missile with an I sound, missile, or that can be a little bit of a schwa, just a dark L there. We can also pronounce missile as missile, with an I diphthong. So like the word aisle, missile. Both are correct. Missile defense systems, there was an unexploded missile left behind. I tend to use missile, but both are correct. And in mistletoe, it is just missile. So that sounds like mistletoe with first syllable stress. After class, I can come back and I'll put some links to resources that I mentioned here in class. So I'll put the link to my video about missile. You can also, or missile. You can also, when you're on the channel on your desktop, you can use the search box right there on the channel, type in any word. And if I have a video for your word, it'll usually come up. Also, do feel free to leave comments with questions on this video or other videos. It's easy for me to find where I've talked about a topic or a particular word and send you to that video so you can get more details. Okay, thank you. Great question. We have a question about what syllable distress when it comes to counting words 13 through 19. So this viewer is talking about during workouts, counting from 1 to 20. So when we get to the teens, if I'm saying a word like 13 versus 30, in 13, I'm going to stress on teen, and in 30, I'm going to stress on thir. So if I'm looking at a date, like if I'm talking about the date 1969, or let's just do 1990, so that we have a 9 and a 9, then I want 1990, the main stress is going to be on the 9, 1990. If I'm counting though, 13, 14, 15, the stress is still on the teen, but I'm going to have secondary stress on the number. Because in this case, if I'm doing 13, 14, 15, it's too much on the teen. I can't tell what number I'm on as much. So the teen still gets stressed. In a word like 13, 14, you can have kind of somewhat equal stress on both. So with numbers, the stress really depends on the pattern. So if I'm doing 13 versus 30, then 13 is clearly stressed on teen. If I'm doing 13, 14, 15, I'm going to stress on both syllables and give more stress to that first syllable. So counting 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's just because our brain, and at that point, if I'm counting and going through all those numbers, the first part is more important for the information of what number I'm on. If I'm just doing 13, 14, 15, I might not have enough focus and attention, and it just sounds like a lot of teens in a row. So numbers are a little bit complicated that way, but that was a great question, and hopefully that will help you in your counting and in your workouts. Okay, great. We have a question about the word romance. So just by itself, romance has stress on... Actually, this is interesting. I just said romance and also romance. I think we can stress it either way, romance. This is one where if we're talking about the noun, it's going to sound like romance with first syllable stress, or the adjective. She reads a lot of romance novels. She's involved in romance. But for the verb, do we have a verb? He's going to romance, the romancing of the stone. Yeah. Verb is going to be romance. So we have that. There's an old movie called Romancing the Stone, and the stress is on mance there in romancing. Also, I had another point of this. I think that people use both. It was a great romance. But most likely the rules are noun and adjective, first syllable stress, verb forms, romance, romantic, romancing, stress on the man syllable. In either case, you have a little flexibility because the vowels don't change. So in both cases, we have the true O for the row, and we have the A for the ants, and then CE says the S. So we have the A vowel, romance. So even if I'm stressing row or mance, my vowels don't change here in this word. Great word. Thank you so much. Definitely an interesting one, a little bit different than some other words with the stress not being quite so clear for what syllables are stressed. Okay, we have a question about one-on-one classes. I do offer one-on-one training, and you can check that out on my website, speechmodification.com. You can see what I offer there, as well as the online courses that are for individual study on our courses page. If you click on the store page or on the home page, you'll see options about individual accent training. Great. So let's see. I wanted to take a few more questions and requests. Feel free to leave yours. And I also want to talk a little bit about a couple of requests that came in this week. So we'll turn to those. We have, so I have a very long list of word of the day videos that I'm covering, over 250 requests. So it may be a while before you see yours if you requested something. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm working my way through those words. You can also always attend these Saturday classes to get a quicker answer. And another way to get a quick answer is we do offer channel memberships. You can join as a channel member, and YouTube has let me know I'm going to be able to purchase channel memberships for some of our viewers. I haven't been able to do that yet, but because it's not permitting me to in the live stream. But in live streams in the future, I hope that that it will work so that I can gift some channel memberships to you, so you could check that out if you've been someone who's been watching for a long time, commenting and attending this class. You may get a note from YouTube saying that I've offered you a gift of membership for a month. So if that's something you're interested in, you have to be able to turn on my channel, turn on the allow memberships. You also have to be a channel subscriber, I think, for me to be able to do that to you. And channel members can gift memberships to other friends and viewers as well. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity. In the meantime, if you'd like to learn more about channel membership, you can click the join button and you'll see the perks that I offer for channel members, including, which is how I started this whole long thread, if you're a channel member and you make a request, we'll cover your word within a week of when you make the request. So that's one way to get a faster response as well. Okay, let's see. We have a question about the places, Saskatchewan. So I may have a video for Saskatchewan already. Saskatchewan. So it's a little, it doesn't really look it doesn't sound exactly like it looks in terms of spelling. We have stresses on the scatch syllable. So we have, it's like the word catch in there. So if you start with catch, it might help you. Thinking about catch, Saskatch. So we have the schwa, catch, Saskatch, wan. So schwa, vowel a in catch, Saskatcha. Another vowel schwa here for the E, and then last vowel is a, schwan, Saskatchewan. So probably a little secondary stress on the final syllable. So you could try doing Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan. That's a good way to do it. Also just slowly, syllable by syllable, Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan, and then speeding back up. That usually helps. And then your other word was, sorry, my comments moved around. Mooresville, California. So I'm assuming Mooresville, that usually for the word more, we just pronounce that the same as this word more. Some regions of the U.S. may pronounce this a little more as Moore, Mooresville. So you can but I think in California it's more likely to be Mooresville. So thinking about Mooresville. Yeah, it would be interesting to go and ask locals there if they say Mooresville or Mooresville. But generally Moore is more of an East Coast pronunciation for that name, and Moore is more of a Midwest, West Coast pronunciation. Great questions. Thank you. Okay, we have a question about soporific and exonerated. So soporific, so this OR is more of an sound. Sopor, I'm mixing up my IPA and my spelling. We'll write it like this. Instead of writing it with per, we'll do porif. Soporific. And then for exonerated, we have the letter EX, say IGS in this word, IGS with a Z. And the stress is on the on syllable, exonerate, with a clear A vowel there, exonerate. Or exonerated would be rated, exonerated. Yeah, good words. Thank you so much for that request. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. We have a comment that my website isn't working in Syria. I'm not sure why either. It's probably from my internet provider. My apologies about that. You can check out some of my materials also on Facebook or here on YouTube. I'm glad at least you can get access via YouTube. Okay, next Saturday will be a holiday here in the U.S., so I may or may not be having class. I don't know yet. I will post something throughout the week to let you know if we're having our live class. And we'll probably have it on New Year's Eve day on the 31st. If I can't offer those regular Saturday classes, do check back to the channel on the community page, and you'll see, of course, we'll continue to have our Word of the Day classes every day, and I'll offer a different alternative time for our live question and answer class. But normally we'll have it every Saturday at this time. thanks so much for watching, for attending class today, for the great questions. It was wonderful to see all of you here, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's Word of the Day, as well as in our next live question and answer class. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. SpeechModification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you again soon.